Hi there, this is Dana. In this video, I'm going to be showing you about some really neat threads that I got sent recently. They're from Sulky, and some of you might have heard of Sulky before in one of my tutorials about transferring how to transfer your embroidery patterns to your fabric. They do some really neat stabilizers, and I'm going to be doing a more in-depth tutorial about the stabilizers as well. But they sent me some of their threads, which I thought was pretty cool, and I'm going to be talking about them and showing you some of the different ones that they carry that are actually good for embroidery and cross-stitch to a certain point as well, and I'll explain what I mean by that. And just so you're aware, I did get sent these for free, and some of the links may be affiliate links, but you know, they don't cost you anything extra or whatever, just a link to let you know where to buy them from. So what these are, these ones, I'm going to talk about the cross-stitch ones first. So these are what's called cotton petites. It's 12 weight cotton. It's made in Italy, and it says here, and it's got a really cool cap, which is really, you can just pop it up, which is super handy because then you don't have to worry about like leftover threads and stuff. Like I know for some cross stitchers when they're doing embroidery and what, or doing cross stitch, they have the little bobbins, and then when you cut off too much or whatever, then you're like, what do I do with the threads, and you end up with bits hanging off your bobbins. This is kind of neat because you can actually just wind it back onto your little bobbin and then close it up, which is handy. So this is the 12 weight. You can see it's got a nice density to it. So according to their website, this is equivalent to roughly 2 strands of normal DMC floss or any embroidery floss. So there's like 46 meters or 50 yards in each spool. If you've got a skein of regular embroidery floss, that's about 8 meters. So if you're doing 2 strands of each for each section, then that's about 24 meters. So this is 46 meters versus 24 meters. And they have about 160 colors. 130 of those are solid colors, and 30 of them are variegated. So here's some of their charts. So this is the variegated ones. They call them blendables. So they got some really, really pretty colors in that. Lovely. And then here's the, yes, little snap cap, and then here's their range of all their other colors for these ones, for the cotton petites, the 12 weight. So here is a 12 weight in practice for cross stitch. You can see it comes out, the darker one is the 12 weight here. You can see it comes out really nicely for black work. This is actually Lucy Heaton's Phases of the Moon pattern from, this is the X Stitch magazine, this is issue 3 from Space. You can see that's actually her design on the cover there. So that's hers there, so I was just experimenting with the different weights and stuff. And then this is actually all the 12 weight cotton as well. I'm just going to try and zoom in a little bit. So you can see the coverage isn't bad. I mean, if you're one of those people who absolutely cannot stand seeing any tiny bits of fabric and you're going to use 3 strands on 14 count instead of 2 like most patterns recommend, then you may not like this stuff just because it is just 1 strand and it's not fluffy, so you can see the fabric just a tiny bit, but for me it's pretty much the same coverage as 2 strands of the regular embroidery floss. And the nice thing is, you know, because it's just the 1 strand, you don't have to worry about doubling and, you know, strands getting caught up and your threads not laying properly. Like, it's always going to look perfect because it's just 1 strand, right? So that's really handy if you're, you know, sick of railroading and whatnot, which is a technique to make your threads lay flat, then that might be really good for you. And for embroidery, it does really nice work as well. So this is all using the 12 weight cotton. So you can see lots of different techniques. So these ones here I've blended 2 colors together to make the little woven wheel roses. The French knots are 2 strands just to make them a little bit chunkier and whatnot, but you can see they come up really quite nice. It's got a nice texture to it. Yeah, so it's quite nice to work with actually because it's nice and it's smooth, so it doesn't kind of fluff up on you, and it's really strong too, so that's actually really nice too, so you're not going to break it. It's not going to sort of shred on you as you're stitching, so that's cool with that. And the next one I played with was, so this is sewing thread. It's 30 weight cotton. I believe this one is made in Italy as well. So don't know if you can quite see, but it's really smooth. Like I've got some sewing thread that I just use for my sewing machine when I'm making stuff, and it's a little fluffy and it's not great quality and whatever. And this is actually really nice. Like it's really, really smooth and it gives you a really nice crisp line. So like say if you were wanting to do a pattern that, you know, for using normal embroidery floss, you would use 2 strands and then maybe 1 strand for the back stitch. You could easily use something like this thread for the back stitch as well. So this is just using that thread here, all of this section, and then that was like 2 layers of it together, and it came out really, really neat. Like I think it looks fantastic for black work. Like it just gives such a beautiful crisp line. So I'm really a big fan of using that for black work. And I didn't use it in this one as well, so I just used it here, but you can see the kind of lines and texture it makes. And also I got sent some metallic threads. This is called Sulky Silver, and there's a whole bunch of different colors you can get. These are made in Japan, and they're quite fine. They're really, really fine. So it's almost like a really thin tinsel. If you're used to using Krennic blending filaments, this is kind of similar to that, but it's almost more thread-like than it is like a flat sheet, or like a flat thread. It is flat, but to me it's almost a little bit more thread-like. So it's really, really pretty as well, and it gives a really lovely sparkle. So you could use it like a blending filament where you mix 1 strand of this with 1 or 2 strands of your normal floss, or with one of the other colors, and that'll just give it a bit of a shimmer. Or you can use it on its own. Right here. This one, the pink here actually, which is this one here, the pink here I actually did 2 strands just to make it try and show up a bit better. So on white it doesn't show up as well, but on a darker fabric it would look super cool. And then the silvers I did in 1 strand each. So I've got a little picture coming up now so you can kind of see the difference between the 1 strand and the 2 strands. So yeah, they're fun to experiment with. And actually I've got a gridding tutorial as well, and I recommend to use either nylon thread or the Sulky Silver, because this stuff, especially like this would be great if you're doing it on a darker fabric, but for a lighter fabric I would recommend one of the darker colors. You could do holographic and be super special. But you'd actually use this to grid your fabric. Because it's metallic, your needle's not going to pierce it, and you can stitch right over it because it's so fine, but it's visible enough that you're going to see it, and then at the end you can just pull those grid lines out. So I've got a link in the video description for that as well. And oh, what I was going to say too, this one is from the Space Magazine, and it is Smart Cross Stitches Micro Mission pattern, and it's really cute. It's like, this doesn't do it justice at all because I didn't have the right colors, because I was just experimenting with the ones that I got sent, but it's really cute. It's like little spaceships and stuff flying everywhere, and little planets. And then this one is inspired by Kristen Morgan's book in her she did a book called Hoop Dreams. So that's pretty much it. If you have any questions about these, please do feel free to let me know. I'll put links to Sulky's website below so you can check out what they've got and the different varieties of threads and stuff. Often needle workshops will sell some of this stuff, especially the metallics. So, and a lot of them you can actually ask them to order them in as well if you want to have a little experiment. I'll also put a link in the video description for conversion charts. There is a really, like a drop-down menu type conversion chart on Sulky's site, but it may not convert to, like, for example, the 12 weight thread, which is the closest to the DMC, like 2 strands of DMC. It may not convert exactly to that. It might convert to, say, the 40 weight thread, which would be even finer than this one. And there's also, but there is like an Excel spreadsheet on their site as well, and I'll link to that as well, that does have some of the DMC to the Cotton Petites conversions. So that's it. I hope you have a fantastic day. Oh, and if you want to get some access to free patterns, either cross stitch or embroidery, just click the little button that's coming up on your left or right hand side right now, and that will give you access to all the free patterns on my site, and you can become a member of the Peacock Lounge and get access to like giveaways and all kinds of fun stuff. I hope you have a fantastic day. Bye for now.